Hello World Wide Web, I'm Dr. Shado, the internet personality of the best DPS, and today's review is a live-action animation amalgamation film adaptation, Warcraft. Based on the video game series of the same name, Warcraft is thankfully not one of those modern films based on video games directed by Uwe Boll, though it's not for lack of trying on the man's part. It's said that Blizzard rejected his proposal for a Warcraft movie because they thought it might damage the brand enough that people would actually unsubscribe en masse from their highly lucrative MMORPG. So directorial duties went to Duncan Jones, a man relatively unknown outside of Warcraft, considering before this movie the only two full-length theatrical films he had directed were Moon and Source Code. But with it out of the hands of Boll, that meant it actually did finally have a legitimate chance of being good. The movie itself, released in 2016, a full 12 years after the most recent game in the franchise, World of Warcraft, Warcraft, or as it's known in some regions, Warcraft the Beginning, tells the story of the war between orcs and humans in the fantasy realm of Azeroth from way back at the beginning in the original game, Warcraft. However, as it's been expanded on time and time again, it's a tad more complicated than it was depicted in the original game. Also, as this is a film adaptation, a few details get messed with. Hey, surely no one will notice or even care. I mean, come on, this made $433 million at the box office. That's like 50 million movie tickets sold. And that's way more than the 100 million or so World of Warcraft players that were out there, and still considered a box office disappointment. But anyway, let's take a look at Warcraft and see how it turns out when at least some of the people present actually give a fuck. The narrator explains that the war between orcs and humans is a thing that's been going on for quite a while at this point, but never mind that. This movie doesn't have anything to do with the good aligned space demons introduced in World of Warcraft. It's a tale of how the conflict began, and with that, an orc crushes a human so hard that we teleport back to the first war, and are introduced to the Frost Wolf clan's chieftain Durotan and his wife Draka, played by Toby Kebbell and Anna Galvin, respectively.
How will the great Durotan name his son if I do not travel with him?
Son.
Not sure how that's surprising. If this movie is anything to go by, for every female orc we have something like 500 or so males. The traveling she's talking about is this massive event that the leader of the orcish people, Gul'dan, has orchestrated as a means to save the orcs. It seems in the time since this particular orc took over their world, Draenor, has been slowly dying, and the only means for their species to survive is to open a portal into a new world for them to conquer. The spell to do that also just so happens to be fueled by life itself, just in case you were wondering if this was evil and shit. I kinda get the same kind of feeling when I upload a new video to YouTube and they tell me that the minutes watched on it account for over a year of people's lives. What have I done? Slight problem is this particular voyage is not the entirety of the Horde, but only the strongest orcs, so they can build and fuel a bigger portal to bring the rest later. A plan that is fucked up immediately when they realize that Draka is pregnant. It's kind of obvious considering she goes into labor right when they cross over, but it seems kind of pointless to be upset by that, and the kid's not looking so hot. So the magic is good. I mean, at least if we're going by the recognizable victim effect, where one baby is clearly infinitely more important than countless blue-skinned whatever the fucks that never come up again. That's enough of the orc side of things, though. It's time to introduce important human characters like Anduin Lothar, played by Travis Fimmel, and important Warcraft details like guns exist in fantasy flintlock fashion, and they were invented by the dwarves. Ironhammer Glockbeard isn't nearly as important, however, as a summons from the king. Seems a group of soldiers went out, and all of them fucking died, but no one knows what killed them.
And no one saw anything.
We did find someone.
He was searching the bodies. Here, in the barracks.
So he's as much of an eyewitness as you three. How useful. The unauthorized volunteer coroner would be Kagdar, played by Ben Schnetzer. Once he explains to Lothar that magical forensics are a thing, he's allowed to continue examining the bodies in an attempt to uncover their secrets.
What was that?
Another Mountain Dew overdose. These raid guild types are serious. Better than what Kagdar tells him, he just says they need to find yet another mage to answer the question. The strongest mage in the human kingdoms, the Guardian himself, Medivh, played by Ben Foster. Of course, it's not like the Guardian isn't busy with his own shit.
Making a golem. Usually takes years for the magic to seep into the clay, but up here it's much faster.
I'd say he'd be ready sometime around Act 3. While they chat upstairs, Cagdar can't help but poke around the magical library below, and seeing some strange apparition, he utilizes his magical Geiger counter tattoo to figure out which book the specter disappeared into. Right before getting spotted, so never mind that for now. We've got that shit the Guardian still has to explain.
Explain what?
No, fell, past tense, not present. It turns out the green shit in the dead guy's mouth is what you'd call a dead giveaway for a type of magic known as the Fel. It's a powerful skill set, but instead of mana points, it consumes hit points from fucking everything to use it. With this information, they do a group port back to Stormwind, interrupting the game of Hero Quest that King Lane Rin, played by Dominic Cooper, was apparently in the middle of for some real war strategizing.
We know nothing about these so-called monsters.
We need prisoners. Even a corpse would tell us something.
Well, good luck with that. They rot away in like 5 minutes. This is Warcraft, you know. Considering they have nothing to go on until gaining further information, the team assembles a small band of warriors to go out and look for any sign of what they're up against. Unfortunately, though, it finds them instead. And the body count rises. Consisting mainly of nameless foot soldiers, so, oh well. Cagdar activates his bubble, which is just as annoying in the movie as it is in the game, and looky here, Anduin has a son, Callan, played by Berkeley Duffield. Either way, the humans mostly get their asses kicked until the Guardian pulls out the big guns. Enjoy it while it lasts, Medivh. You know that shit's gonna get nerfed hard next patch. He's not going to stick around for it anyway, quickly casting a teleportation spell to return himself to his magic tower. After a few more scuffles as the fight dies down, the humans end up capturing 2 specimens, one orc in all his CGI glory, and a half-orc, Garona, played by Paula Patton, and her shiny pair of prosthetic tusks.
You. What are you? And why do you attack our lands?
He does not know what you speak.
You speak our language?
Fantastic deduction. How'd you figure that out? Was it the part where she sat there speaking your language? Her refusal to hold her tongue eventually means the humans have a total of 1 half-orc prisoner. She gets the chance to explain the basic plot points we've already gone over, and a few other bits of trivia.
But how did you learn our language?
Or take prisoner for the gate. I learned from them.
Prisoners?
Well, then shouldn't your vocabulary consist mostly of screaming for help and crying? Point of it all is the humans now know the orcs have come for their land. But Durotan is having second thoughts about this conquest, as he explains to Orgrim, played by Robert Kaczynski, that Gul'dan's magic looks like it might just so happen to be killing the shit out of this world, and could be the very reason their world died in the first place.
Gul'dan must be stopped. We are not powerful enough to defeat Gul'dan. No. But with the humans' help, we could be.
Well, that makes sense. My gigantic piles of muscles I call friends are great and all, but I really think we need to enlist the help of Captain Osteoporosis and the Brotherhood of Brittle. Later, when Garona leads a group of humans to scout the orc camp, where a new portal is being erected and people are being kidnapped to fuel the Fel for it to function, like she already told them, we at least do progress the plot a bit when Durotan manages to subdue the humans long enough to explain to Garona that he intends to hold a secret meeting where they might be able to negotiate peace.
Sounds like a trap.
It is not.
Could be.
It is not.
Could be.
It is not.
What do you think?
Considering the only other things you've been doing is complaining about the orcs, complaining about the Fel, and suspiciously reminding us that you have a son every now and again, I'd say the let's get the show on the road option is the best one. The king agrees that they must give peace a chance, and with that, Garona is promoted from prisoner of war to ally.
To defend yourself.
With this.
Bitch, I am a monk. This shit isn't even equipable. Also, it seems that Cagdar was researching the portal in his own free time, which Medivh finds out about, and promptly burns fucking all of his research papers. Spare the bit he had in his tunic, that is, which is enough to cover the important revelation about how these Fel portals work.
The orcs were summoned. From this side of the gate, they were invited in.
One guess who did the inviting. Small hint, he's the only motherfucker in the movie we've seen using magic other than Cagdar or Gul'dan. There's still like an hour of movie left though, so Anduin brushes this off as nothing to get particularly worked up over. Besides, they've got to go to that secret meeting between the Frostwolf clan and the humans. With Garona as a translator, they make plans for the human armies to draw Gul'dan's forces away from the Orc camp, at which time the Frostwolf clan will stay behind and kill him! Slight problem with this choice of location though. Turns out they were holding the meeting right on a spawn point. Bad decision. Before they can run from the hills, however, they must do battle. You might notice a slight issue with this skirmish. It's choreographed and animated well enough, but it hardly looks bigger than the fight in the forest with only a dozen or so participants. Ah well, the important thing is that Medivh drops a barrier to cover the humans' retreat, but did so just in the right spot that Callan cannot escape them. This leaves Anduin with nothing to do but sit and watch as the marauders mutilate his little moppet. Specifically Blackhand, played by Clancy Brown. I'm not picking that up, you picked that up. He's your son. You killed him! Right, so I killed him, I win, therefore you lose, you have to pick him up. Casting the fuck your family spell took a lot out of Medivh though, and he must be rushed quick back to the magic pool for recovery.
I have to go.
Yes, why let anyone else know what you just saw? What problem could possibly come from the motherfucking infested because it fucking fell laying in the goddamn magical pool? How long does it take for him to get to where he's headed? Long enough for the movie to cover pretty much all the family drama going on right now. Durotan has to leave Draka with their child and face his fate as a betrayer of the orcs. Right when Medivh has a random chat with Garona about how he maybe might have gone into the ends of the world looking for love some time ago. It could have involved interdimensional travel, and hint number 3 that he's her father. Well, time to teleport her away so she can witness Anduin cry about the death of his son. But to be fair, if he didn't bring it up, the kid would have just faded into the background, so, yeah. Well, Ogrim at least gives Draka the chance to escape with the child, and now Kagdar's slow-ass griffin finally brings him to the floating city. That shouldn't be floating yet, but well. So he can tell them that the Guardian has been corrupted by the Fel!
You come back and accuse the Guardian?
What is Aladai?
Oh, hold on. Eyewitness accounts are one thing, but this man has a sweat-smudged note! We've got to take it seriously. Rather, they're surprised he knew about the super-secret, big, ancient magical box thing that only their circle of mages are supposed to even know exists. That's not the only weird thing, too.
Do I go in?
I don't know. It's never done that before.
Normally it just floats there, eerily. And every Tuesday at 9 we get dubstep. Turns out the ancient magical trinket contains Glenn Close, or Elodie, whatever you want to call it. She's the shadow that led Kagdar to the book and the secrets of the portal, because she has grave news for him.
The Guardian has betrayed us.
Medivh.
Which he already knew. In fact, it's the whole reason he came down here in the first place. She does add that this means he needs to stop the guy, which honestly does seem like something he didn't realize yet. For example, he went all the way down here without telling anyone there's anything remotely concerning about Medivh, which means back with the Guardian, his fell corrupted ass is being submerged in the magical font, which lo and behold means he's corrupting that too. But it's a good thing the lady in the secret magical box that no one's allowed to know about warned us. As things are getting super serious, they break out the Hero's Quest board again, and Anduin gets a chance to rant about the fact that Warcraft is not turn-based like Hero Quest, but a real-time strategy game, and as such, they can't fuck around and must act now if they ever want to have a chance to destroy the portal! Problem is, Medivh steadfastly insists they should just kick back and wait, because the Frostwolf clan who just got jumped and fucking killed will still help them, so no worries! Anduin, however, isn't interested in his opinion. Even if the man doesn't realize the mage is corrupted yet, he knows well enough the guy's an asshole.
Well, Callan wasn't ready, you knew it. And you let him play soldier anyway.
You killed him!
But I mean, how would they know that he's corrupted? I mean, it's not like anyone warned them shortly before flying half a continent away. So it's off to prison for Anduin, while around the same time Durotan is breaking out of prison with the help of Ogrim. Seems the plan is now to make orcs not support Gul'dan anymore after seeing the horror that he truly is. But while we're on the topic of breaking out of cells...
Open the gate! I am just following my...
Well, I won't be needing this anymore. This polymorph spell has been brought to you by Kagdar. Seems when Elodie told him that he already knew what to do, she knew what she was talking about, skipping right over warning people about Medivh's corruption to rescue Anduin from the dungeon, and then warn him, and only him. Thus, they poured off to save Azeroth. Later, first we have to watch Draka give her son the Moses treatment, shortly before she herself is killed. Oh well, enough of that. There's that other conflict with Durotan and Gul'dan, where he plans to show the orcs what kind of a monster Gul'dan is by challenging him to a fight to the death.
Where's the portal? You must be ready when the incantation begins. This won't take long.
For fuck's sake, Blackhand, he cons grey to me. So they fight! Right as Kagdar and Anduin teleport and find the dead guy right next to a corrupted Medivh, so they fight! Which hardly does anything to stop the mage from casting half the spell to open the portal, interrupting Gul'dan's duel. Problem is, orc tradition is sacred, so they fight! Or he just goes Shang Tsung on his ass.
Gul'dan cheats!
Well, it's not like he's cheesing the guy and spamming leg sweeps. Seems special moves are off limits in these exchanges, however. But screw it, Gul'dan sucks the life out of Durotan anyway, giving Ogrim the perfect opportunity to inspire a mutiny, by calling Gul'dan a demon for what he does.
May your bones rot, demon! Anyone else?
Well, that was a short-lived rebellion. Figuratively and literally. Furthermore, he infuses Blackhand with the Fel, making him Super Blackhand, right as the humans arrive to fight the orcs and destroy the portal. Thus, the final battle is underway. Ish. We gotta jump all over the place, such as back with Medivh and company, to find out, hey, that golem seemed kinda pointless earlier, but it sure came in handy for this climactic battle. Things jump around like this a lot at this point in the movie, focusing on the characters, possibly at the expense of the big war thing going on. Even when the portal is opened and tons more orcs pour in, it still doesn't feel all that grand in scale, to be honest. The most important fight involves 3 dudes and a hunk of clay anyway. After Anduin distracts Medivh long enough for him to dip into the pool and transform into a fucking demon, Kagdar teleports the golem right on top of him, resulting in the deadliest teabag in cinema history. This also closes the portal and turns Medivh good? He reopens the portal, but this time allowing the humans to use it to escape back to Stormwind.
Set the men in a perimeter. Garona, Karas, take what men we can spare and free the prisoners, and send them through to Stormwind!
Let's address a few big elephants in the room here. According to original Warcraft lore, at this point in the First War, Stormwind was a heaping pile of ruins and orc shit, and the humans didn't even know the portal existed yet, let alone used it to their own ends. But this is a movie, so fuck getting the story right, make the story flashy. This way, the humans can all shuffle into the middle of the orc camp to use the portal, but whoopsie, the Guardian dies, fucking up the 2 casters needed to function portal technology, and leaving the humans surrounded. With that, King Lane takes a moment while the rest of the battle turns into slow motion to tell Garona that as her culture views killing chieftains in battle as honorable, somehow this means he thinks her killing him will maybe make peace between orcs and humans. Like, we don't know about that long-running, very profitable game series that has gone on well beyond these events. Ah well, she stabs him either way, and at the very least she is honored and not killed by the orcs. They can save that part for when Anduin swoops into battle and is promptly captured. Ooh, they're gonna settle this in a Magora. Anduin versus the very orc that killed his son, Blackhand. Now Super Blackhand, supercharged with the Fel. This fight is gonna be... really easy. In mere seconds, the man strikes down his enemy, and that's it. He won the Magora, so he's allowed to leave peacefully. Much to Gul'dan's dismay, but Garona tells him it'd be better for him to just kind of be there at the end rather than there be any sort of closure here, and he lets the man live. Therefore, noble ending! King Lane is dead, but through his death, the various races of Azeroth come together to form a military alliance. Not bad considering in the games it took the orcs destroying all settlements on Kalimdor before that happened. The end? Almost. They felt like reminding us what movie we were watching shortly before giving the actual final scene.
My lord, you should see this!
Reminding us about all of that established lore they fucked with for this movie. For the novels, Thrall wasn't found floating in the River Moses style. He was with his parents' dead-ass bodies. But either way, that was Warcraft, and was a lot of fun, very pretty, and could use some serious patching. In terms of how well it adheres to the lore, it's almost there. Keep in mind this is a video game movie, and they are still way behind in regards to how much Hollywood studios believe the stories can work as they are already written. Remember, before the 2000s, comic book movies were a hell of a lot more about interpretation rather than representation. It sucks that many established facts from the lore were fucked with because movie, but for a video game movie this had far less of that than I was expecting. What it did have was respectable performances and an art direction that very strongly linked this film to Warcraft in style alone. Hell, on the rare points where the movie zooms out, it almost looks like what you'd expect to see out of a next-gen Warcraft RTS game. But, like I said, these are rare occasions. For being a story about the First War, skipping over all of the skirmishes and the point in time where Orc tribes were not actually united yet, the battles don't seem all that grand in scale. The focus on the film is on characters we know. That's fine, but Lord of the Rings already showed us quite definitively that you can focus on a small group of characters and still showcase a ridiculously huge scale battle. Warcraft comes close to showing us a huge battle during the climax, but the cinematography and editing fight it every step of the way. At the end of the day, Warcraft is an interesting tale set in a fantasy medieval realm that's not quite Warcraft, but could pass at first glance. It's got enough Easter eggs for fans of the games to like, but it does fail to adhere as strictly to the lore as many of us hardcore fans would have liked. As a movie on its own, though, I'd say it's above average, coming in at 4 conveniently crafted clay cobblers out of 5. It is kind of funny, though, that they decided to dial back the magic to make a more down-to-earth, realistic Warcraft movie, and yet all the armies are still marching around in polished, ornate cosplay armor. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I've been Shado. And remember, build your town hall as close to the gold mine as possible. Efficiency is key in RTS games.
You would be injured.
I don't want to lie with you.
Good. You would not be an effective mate.